Hola. So, if you didn't know, I organize Mobile Monday events in Tokyo, and we always start a Mobile Monday event in Tokyo with Getsuyobi. Nico Nico Getsuyobi da is Smile, it's Monday. So before I get anywhere further from now, I'd like to see a whole bunch of really big smiles out there because otherwise this is feeling a little bit more like a conference and less like a Mobile Monday. So you should be up here taking a big picture of everybody smiling. So obviously I don't look that Japanese. I'm Canadian on the outside, but I'm very Japanese on the inside. I've been based in Tokyo since 2001. And in a very short period of time, I'm going to take you through an atomic taxi ride through mobile in Tokyo. So I can't talk entirely about mobile payments because I'm guessing it would be difficult for you to get a grasp on how it is that we got to where we are. So we need to talk a little bit about the infrastructure and the ecosystem, which is a big word now that everybody's starting to catch up on. Clearly, there's a little bit of Darth Vader within this presentation, so please stick with me. What is the value proposition of a mobile phone? Anywhere, anytime, anyone. Anywhere, anytime, anyone. This magic, if you would, in our generation has changed so many things and continues to change so many things. Really, the model in Japan is based on having a good model. This slide was really popular in Islamabad. I was there last month. They didn't preview the deck. A good business model. So, I mean, we hear this quite often, and I'm sure that maybe this is something that you bring into the room, that Japan has a unique user culture. And so these Japanese people just love to use their mobile phone, and they're always on the train. Right? Yeah. I wholeheartedly disagree with this. And actually, there's many great and well-documented academic surveys that show that overwhelmingly, the #1 place that people use their phone, not just in Japan, but Philippines, Europe, it's actually in their house. But you don't get to see them in their house. So there's some great brand names here that we haven't asked for their permission to use. Mickey Mouse, clearly just as popular in Tokyo as Mario Brothers has been overseas. Right? If you were to look at something like the iPod, huge in Japan, just like Toyota has more or less been overseas. Right? It's not a unique user, it's a unique business model, what they've set up in Japan. And I think that that's something that people are starting to pay closer attention to. I honestly don't get any residuals from this, but I have to plug this book, Dr. Philip Sugai, The 6 Immutable Laws of Mobile Business. Immutable law #1 is value over culture. The value proposition of a Toyota or an iPod or a Mickey Mouse or a Mario Brothers. It's the value proposition. People buy things that mean something to them in some way, straightforward, anywhere, everywhere. So, real quickly, the Japanese mobile ecosystem, we get to use the infinite triangle, courtesy of MIT, without asking for their permission either. We put the operator on the top because they're the benevolent dictator. We're quite, I told you there was going to be some Star Wars references. They really are sitting on the top. And now Docomo is actually using that. I'm your father, Luke. This is actually last week off my mobile phone in the JR subway. So the operator sitting on top of that pyramid, they really are running the show. And Japanese operators, as we would politely call it, an operator-centric market, they are speccing the devices. They are going to Sharp, Panasonic, Hitachi, Casio, should I go down the long list? They're telling them what they want on these phones, and they buy them. They buy them. You give me 1.2 million NEC phones on my loading dock and I'll give you cash money. So they're in a custom suit as opposed to off the rack. That means they can drive the roadmap, what's on these phones. And if that's a payment chip, and it is, that means it's on all of their phones, period. So on the other side of the triangle, obviously on that pyramid, you have the content application and service providers. Now, you have a network in place, congratulations, you have great handsets, very good. The icing on the cake is the bits in the pipe. 90-10 revenue share, all Japanese operators since day one, 90-10. So the deck, iMode or otherwise, gives the content application service providers access to discovery and, I would suggest, quite fair and dependable settlement for their billing. Now, obviously, the handset makers and the content providers, if you were to use things like Flash or GPS, we could go down a long list. At the base of the pyramid, that's where all the action is that nobody gets to see. At the end of the day, sitting rich, fat, and lazy in the center paying the freight is a happy client. So where have we seen this before now that we see it again? It took some time for Jobs and the boys to take iMode and basically run exactly the same thing globally. They did a great job. Where basically Apple is sitting as the operator, the iPhone is the spec device, and the App Store is 70-30 rev shares better than nothing, I suppose. Not many people have thought about that. I got a lot of sideways looks when I was in Barcelona in February with that slide. How is that? Nobody realized that actually that the iPhone and the iPhone model is actually based on iMode. Same scenario. Quick overview of the operator stats. I won't bore you with that, but it's on the deck, and I'm guessing it'll be available for people to get afterwards. Basically, we're looking at about 110 million people in the market. 3G subscribers over 90%. Flat rate data subscribers well over half. Blended ARPU at 40% voice on data and shifting quickly. So if you look at data ARPU, and the Japanese operators are way off the top right corner of the map, people are buying this service because it has a value proposition to them. It's fairly priced. There's lots of content on there. The numbers speak louder than words. So as a very good example, 3 Japanese operators have combined data ARPU similar to the 3 American operators, and the difference being that text messaging in Japan is essentially free. You ask a Japanese person how much it costs to send an SMS text message, they'll look at you, no SMS, HTML nonetheless, they'll look at you like it costs money. Mail is free because the more often they're using it, the more often they're using it. The more often they're surfing data, they're buying services, they're telling their friends. They use mail as a bait and switch. Worked quite well. So that was 3 minutes up to speed on 10 years in the business. What are people doing? This is a great survey from CIAJ. Right across, male, female, teens to seniors. What do they do on a daily basis? A daily basis. Watch TV, 28%. Use their wallet phone application, 20-odd%. On a daily basis, whether they're a teenager or a senior, they are using these services because there's a value proposition.